Hey guys, so I want to ask you a question today, and the question is this. What if the things that we are resisting about ourselves and our lives are actually showing us the pathway forward that we need to go? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, I want to share a story. So, a few years ago, I had a client who was suffering from literally crippling anxiety. And they had a very kind of high flying corporate job. And it was getting to the point where this anxiety was interfering with their ability to do their job, and they were having to take more and more time off. And one day I was talking to them, and it had been a particularly bad day. And there was so much sort of concern about whether they were able to go to the job or not. And yet it was clear that they just couldn't. And I just asked them this question, and I said, do you really want to do this job? And they just said straight out, no, I don't want to do it. And it was the first time I think they'd said it out loud. And I think it was the first time they'd admitted it to someone as well. And the minute they said that, though, they got into a bit of a flap. And it was like suddenly all these objections in their mind came up. I've got bills to pay. I've got things to do. I've got responsibilities. How am I going to survive? What else would I do? All of these kind of questions came up. And I said, stop right there. I said, all of that stuff is downstream. What you need right now is to simply own the fact of what you've just said and tell yourself the truth about it. The rest will get dealt with by the higher part of you. You don't know what is going to be next. You don't know how it's going to unfold, but there's no space for you to see that until you stop resisting the fact that you don't want to do this anymore. So I said, that's all I want you to do. Own it. Own what's actually true. Now, what actually happened was in that moment, they settled down. And then it was literally days later. The next thing I know, they've negotiated a payoff for their job. So they've got money in the bank to survive for a while. And cut a long story short, what unfolded from there was this person became a writer and wrote a best-selling novel. Now, did they know they were going to do that? No. But they couldn't see the next step because they were too busy resisting what was in front of them because they thought they needed to know the plan. Actually, no. That's where we often trip up. We keep saying, oh, I need to know what I'm going to do next before I will do X, Y, or Z. No, actually, what you're going to do next is going to come through you moment to moment to moment from your higher self once you've told yourself the truth about what's real for you. I had another example of that this morning. I was talking to another friend of mine whose daughter is struggling at school. They've got a medical condition. And it's increasingly becoming clear that this medical condition is really interfering with their schooling. And, more and more time is being taken off school. And it's not only made a worry about the schooling, but it's also made a worry about, the medical condition and what to do about it. And I said, do you think your daughter actually wants to be at this school? And it was a similar reaction. She said, no. And I said, well, what if then this medical situation it actually has intelligence to it? What if it's the final kind of alarm bell, if you like, from your daughter's nervous system that is basically trying to get you to take notice of the fact that something isn't right here, that there's something that needs to be done? And she said, well, I think I've always known that she doesn't belong in the school. And then she said, but I can't do homeschooling and all of this sort of stuff. I said, well, similar situation to what happened with my client. I said, that's not your job, right? Right now, all you need to do is finally own the fact that you think she doesn't belong there. Tell yourself the truth about it. And I said, that will be easier for you when you have also started to own the parts of you that you are pushing down and not owning are true about yourself. Like the more you start to go, actually, yeah, I don't belong here, or this is not right for me, it'll become easier for you to not only see that in your daughter, but to also facilitate it. And the more you do that, you'll start to see, is it homeschooling? I don't know. Is it a different school? I don't know. But again, it's not your job. You cannot make space for the quantum to deliver the next steps, your higher self to deliver the next steps until you finally owned what is true. So that's my invitation to you guys today. If there's something that's showing up repeatedly in your life and you're in resistance to it, do you actually know something that you need to do here? Or that is there a truth here that you're not facing because you're afraid of what it might mean? If that's the case, it's enough for you to simply own it, because it is not up to your mind to figure out what you will do next. There's a much deeper part of you connected to the infinity of who you are that can figure that part out. And trust me, it comes up with much better solutions than our limited mind can. So first, own the truth of that and just sit with it. And you'll then find the more you sit with it and you own it and say, yes, this is actually what's true here, you'll start to see things will show up in front of you. Serendipities, synchronicities, intuitions, knowings, nudges will suddenly appear and things will unfold from there. Sending lots of love. Take care. Bye.